Hey guys, it's Maggie, and I thought a great video to follow my last one about having dilation surgery done would be a video talking about obstructions and strictures, which a lot of IBD people unfortunately have to deal with, more Crohn's than ulcerative colitis based on how the inflammation works in the two different diseases. But I still wanted to bring up some information about obstructions and how they happen and how we can attempt to help prevent them and what to do if we can't. So there are a couple different types of obstructions, one being non-mechanical. This just means that there really isn't anything physically going on. There's nothing blocking or anything like that. It's actually more of a nerve issue. Like, for instance, if you get abdominal surgery done, there's something called paralytic ileus where your intestines are not having peristalsis, they're not moving. And that's why they'll ask you not to eat anything after surgery until your bowels wake up. There are certain diseases that are usually diagnosed in younger children. There's one in particular that we see a lot at CHOP on my floor called Hirschsprung's disease. Basically, the colon does not move anything through. There's no nerves to do any of that. So usually the colon winds up being taken out. And then either an ostomy or something like a J-pouch is put in just to help the kid go to the bathroom. Yeah, so the non-mechanical ones usually involve the nerves or the muscles not operating as they should. Now, the ones that we usually see as IBD patients are the mechanical ones, where something is physically blocking the intestine from having stool or whatever pass through. There are a bunch of different reasons why an intestine can be blocked off. There could be some kind of food stuck in there. The intestines could have twisted. There might be a hernia pushing on the intestines. There might be some kind of tumor growing that's pushing on the intestines, even something like gallstones. There are a number of reasons why the intestine could be kind of blocked off and squeezed. The one that we see, though, as IBD patients a lot are strictures. So we know that our bodies are attacking our intestines, so we are getting all of this nasty ulceration. And after a while of having this ulceration, if it's not taken care of either through surgery or through medication, it'll start forming scar tissue. And this scar tissue can become narrow, and that does not bode well for food trying to pass through. Some people have worse strictures than others. Some people don't even know that they have a stricture. They might just find that eating vegetables and things with high fiber content might not be the best for them. They'll notice bloating, but it might pass. Other people have a stricture that is so bad that nothing can pass through, and that's when it becomes the obstruction, when nothing can get through. You'll start noticing symptoms like bloatedness, a hard belly because it's filling up with stool, nausea, vomiting. You might have abdominal pain. Like I mentioned in my video, I was having those contraction-like pains. It'll come in waves because the peristalsis is trying to push the stool through and nothing is happening. So that's why you'll notice this wave of pain every so often. And then the last sign, more than, it's not really a symptom, it's more of a sign that the doctor or nurse would look for, is no bowel sounds. They'll listen to your belly with a stethoscope, and if they don't hear anything going on, they don't hear any movement, it's a sign of possible obstruction. So like I said before, some people can control this with diet if there is a known stricture, and it's not necessarily one that needs to be taken out. You know, stuff can pass through it. You just need to be careful what you eat. A lot of people with IBD, you'll see, say that they can't eat salads, or they can't eat vegetables, or they can only eat steamed vegetables. That's because they kind of bulk up the stool, and it'll make it a lot harder to pass through that stricture. So they'll stick to foods that kind of make them looser. One of the things that I did when I had my stricture and I was having it dilated, I drank prune juice like no other. I kind of made it, that was what me and my dad decided to do. We would go through probably I don't know, a bottle of prune juice every couple of days, because I would tell myself to keep myself feeling good, I have to down, you know, 2 or 3 cups of this nasty prune juice daily. And it worked. It really did. It kept the stool nice and soft, and I was able to get it by my stricture. One of the other treatments is dilation surgery, which I just made a video on, so if you guys want to look at that, maybe you've already seen it, but if not, I did make a whole video about my experience with having a dilation surgery for my stricture and my rectum. But that is an option. They can go in with different devices to stretch out the stricture. You can actually do it at home if it's a stricture that is low enough in your colon or your rectum, if you're able to reach it at home. But sometimes they can do it during a colonoscopy or whatever you're getting done. They also do different medications to decrease the inflammation. That's kind of the whole point of Crohn's meds, is to do that, to reduce all the inflammation that you're having, to sort of prevent the strictures from coming up. So it depends on when you catch the narrowing starting. Sometimes it is too late and the stricture is already there, and you can't really, once the scar tissue is in place, you can't really get rid of it. So that's kind of one of the problems with Crohn's meds. If you don't catch it in time, or if it doesn't prevent it fast enough, it won't work. If you wind up in the hospital because of your obstruction, what they'll normally do is put in something similar to an NG tube. It's called a Salem Sump. Unfortunately, it is a little bit thicker. It's a clear tube, a bit thicker than a feeding tube, but it needs to be able to suck out all of the stuff in your stomach. It's basically decompressing your stomach. They'll put it to wall suction. It depends on what the doctor orders, if it's continuous or intermittent suction, and it just tries to pull all the stuff that is stuck on top of your stricture out. So that way there's not all this pressure being pushed onto the stricture. It can perforate and go through, you know, break open the intestine, and that leads to a whole slew of other problems that you don't need. I have had that happen to me, unfortunately, and I can tell that story. I think I've told it before, but I can tell that story in a whole other video. But you just want to avoid that. So that's why they have to throw the Salem Sump down. I know it's super uncomfortable. If you ever have to have that happen, ask if chloroseptic spray can be ordered. It's actually something you can get at CVS as well, and you spray it to the back of your throat and it kind of numbs, and that's what I always did. It always helped a lot. And then the last and final thing that they will do, if the stricture is bad enough and the obstruction is just not going away, they will do a resection. They'll get rid of that nasty piece of intestine that just is not working, and then they'll connect the two healthy parts back together in hopes that this will help you stay regular and not have another obstruction again. I know it's it kind of sucks when you have to get that done, but it can really help, especially if this stricture is just causing you so much trouble and causing you all these obstructions. It can really help you have relief. So that is basically the rundown on obstructions and strictures. I very lightly covered them, but just some general information if you were wondering about them. I know as IBD people, we have this idea of what obstructions are caused by, and we always think of like a stricture or, you know, the inflammation, scarring of our intestine, but there are actually multiple reasons why we can get strictures. But there are multiple reasons why we can get obstructions. There are many diseases that cause these pseudo obstructions, and those are a little bit more scary because we don't necessarily know why the obstruction's happening to us. You can't see what's happening. There's just no movement in the intestines. So there are a lot of different causes to obstructions, but the main one for IBD people is the stricture. Alrighty guys, I hope you found this informative, and if you have any requests for what you would like to see, just let me know in the comments below, and I will see you in my next video. Alright, bye!